Good morning, my beautiful people, my inspirational beauties. How are you today? Lulu-Lee here, back in my kitchen. Nutrition in my kitchen. That's the segment in the show Inspirational Beauty with Lulu-Lee. And sometimes I'll just film that separately and post it to the channel so you can enjoy some more natural and healthy cooking. Today, I'm making a vegetarian chili. So vegetarian chili, there are many different versions of it. My version is really only vegetables. I start with a little bit of avocado oil in the pot, and then I put a little bit already before, so I don't want to put too much. And then I really start with warming it up, and putting the basic, which to me gives all the flavors a lot of time, which is onions and garlics. I have seen people do vegetarian chili with, walnuts as a substitute for meat. I don't do that. I try to make it as simple as possible. Sometimes overcomplicating it makes me not want to do it, right? Like now I have to saute the walnuts or keep them all night in the water, and then I forget. So I just get my protein from beans, and I'm happy with it. And the way I serve it is really yummy too, because we do the sour cream, we do the jalapenos, we do the whole thing. You're gonna get to see it. But I start with about, I want to say there were 3, 4, 5 cloves of garlic. I mince them. A lot of times I try to not do it right off the back because they burn fast. But, yeah, that's not going to mince. And I'm like, why am I fighting with this? There we go. But because everything goes straight to the pot right away and it's going to be fast, I'm doing it already. I do a half of a purple onion. And if you remember from my other videos, I just chop the way I chop. There's no chefing in my kitchen. There's just Lulu-Leeing in my kitchen, and it always comes out yummy. So a half of a purple onion together with the garlic on low flame. The whole thing about it is to get something hearty that will still give you protein, that will feel like what you like and what you know. And for me, I love Mexican food. I always loved it, but when I became, vegan, I loved it even more because they have a lot of veggie options. So to give up chili con carne, was a big thing for me, but at the same time I wanted to find something to substitute it with. And then I started experimenting, and I found that when I do it with zucchini, and when I do a lot of different flavors of colors of bell peppers, it really comes out yummy, and I feel like it's the same, and I use the same seasoning, right? So I always tell you guys, my health journey is not something that I planned on, right? I just little by little, it became more of a thing that I did. I just added 2 carrots, by the way, and I'm probably going to add another one. So I don't have like this strict thing where, oh my God, no, I can't use that ever. Like I use whatever. When I make my chili, I use the classic taco seasoning. Somebody can tell you, no, do regular seasoning. If you mix this and this, yeah, maybe. And maybe I'll get there one day. But right now, I do it with, with what I like. And it might have the things that are unhealthy for you. But, everything in moderation, everything in balance. I'm not trying to go extreme where I don't eat any of anything that has comes in a bag. I mean, 25 less sodium, that's good enough for me. I'll get that rather than the regular one, and I'm feeling healthier already. So, this is it might sound silly, but this is how I do, so I can encourage myself to eat the food that I want to eat. That's why I said the whole walnut substitute of meat. I'm sure it sounds amazing and it tastes amazing. I never really get to try it yet, and I will at some point, I'm sure of that. But just because I don't know how to do it, and because there's not going to be something that look like ground beef in my chili, doesn't mean I'm not going to have chili, right? And again, -5 outside. I need something warm. This is butternut squash. I took maybe a size, this size from it. If you watch my videos, me and the sizing and the measuring, it's like a whole situation. So one day somebody's going to buy my show and teach me all of these things and be like, Lulu, you can't say that. People need to know. But it's this size. No, I'm just kidding. It's basically a quarter of a butternut squash that I cut into small uh, dices, right? Bregga, you need to fix me if I'm saying something wrong. We got Bregga cubes. There you go. No, right. The dice is when we play, right? Yeah, okay. So not dice, cubes. We got Bregga behind the camera again. Everything is going to be in the description so you can follow him and you can see the guy that makes the magic with me. Like I said, because most of these vegetables are, more hard, so they need a little bit more time to soften. It really doesn't matter the time I put each of them, but I try to start with the peppers and the butternut squash. Sorry, I'm getting stuck. And then I'll put like the chives because they get softer faster. Mushrooms will come faster. But this is how we're gonna play around. So stick around. There's gonna be a lot more cutting and a lot more talking and a lot more English teaching and no dices but cubes. All right. So we're back. We're cutting peppers, and like I said, I'm gonna add as many peppers as possible. I have orange, I have light green, I have dark green, I have red. They didn't have yellow, but if they would, it would have been here. Um, you know, a lot of times when I teach people about healthy eating through the show or general conversations, we always talk about, the journey that we have with food. And this is something that I feel is very important to speak about because we all have some kind of a relationship with food, and a lot of it is influenced from childhood, and it's not always about what we eat. For me personally, no hair in the chili, is I may have not always ate healthy, but I grew up with Mediterranean, Mediterranean. Wow, I'm getting stuck today. I'm telling you, I'm not. I've been off of the show for 2 months now. So yes, December 17, I believe, was the last episode. We're filming this in the middle of February. So 2 months of not being in front of camera, getting stuck a little, but we're here for it, You love me just the way I am, right? Thanks. But no, I had talked to people so many times about, the type of diet that they do, right? So like I said, Mediterranean diet is what I grew up with, growing up in the Mediterranean. And it's the most healthiest diet. Now, if you look up what's the most recommended diet anywhere, Google, ChatGPT, any of your AI friends, they'll tell you that because it has the most amount of veggies and the most amount of healthy fats. We eat a lot of like nuts and we eat a lot of raw veggies, and we start our day with salads. Our breakfast is, I didn't grow up with a breakfast that was muffins and coffee. We wake up to breakfast that is nutritional. Now in here, some might say the breakfast is also nutritional, which is eggs and steak. Kill me if I could understand how can you be on energetic levels on a work day after eating a steak. I eat a steak, I want to go to sleep. So I never got that type of American breakfast, but I stay true to what I grew up with and what I know. And like, going to school, my mom would send me with fruits. Like I had to have a fruit with the sandwich, and that was like my lunch in school. So being familiar with healthy food was always part of my life. But it was never about what I was eating. It was about how I was eating and how much of it I was eating. That's why I say we all have a relationship with food that we need to look into. and understand. I did a whole episode on that on the show called Mind Diet, because we eat from here before we eat from here. And, you know, we eat from an emotional place, we eat from a mental place, and it's not always about, you know, oh yeah, when I'm sad, I'm eating ice cream. Yeah, you can eat an ice cream that's made out of cashews, no dairy, no sugar. You're still gonna eat a whole pint of it. That doesn't make it healthy, right? So the choices might be a healthier version of an ice cream, but the fact that you're sitting with a pint of ice cream, that's the unhealthy part. You know, I had to teach myself to put ice cream in a bowl and eat with a spoon, not eat it from the pint, you know, and I'm still teaching myself. It really is, I don't want to say a daily struggle, because if it's a struggle, then that means I'm fighting something, and I'm not. I'm accepting this whole journey with love, but it's a daily challenge and a daily work to keep myself mindful of stopping when I'm full. You know, it's just, it tastes so good, so I want to eat more, but there's no reason for that. I'm full, and it's right here. It's not going anywhere. If I want to eat more, I can just come back to it later when I'm full, when I'm hungry again. I'm sorry. That was a zucchini. Two types of zucchini I did in here. That's the green zucchini. I don't even know how that zucchini is called, but I find it in the store. It's light green. It's cute. It tastes good. So I always mix it up. When I'll figure out the name, you know how I do. After I film, I Google stuff, and then I look into it. You would think that I would Google prior so I can give you the information while I'm filming, but no, there's too much going on in my head. So later, again, I'm reminding you, if the camera is moving, it's because I'm making Bregga laugh. But later on, if I'll figure out the name of that zucchini, or if it has a different name, I'll let you know. But it's just cute to have different colors and different textures and different flavors. So yeah, so you know, check yourself when you eat. Check yourself if you stop eating when you're hungry. Check yourself on how much really do you need this specific meal. And not because it's vegetables, you know, it's okay. Like, I always hear it from my friend, like, that's fine, you're not eating anything, you can eat more. And I'm like, yeah, but there's no reason for me to eat a whole cauliflower with the zucchini and the pepper. Like, it's a lot of food. So what if it's just vegetables, you know, especially for someone like me who's already used to eating vegetables. I get full from that, so I don't need to pack more and more and more. I am going to add some mushrooms now, and one more. I want the chives too. So I cut the green onion before. I'm adding it now because I didn't want it to burn so much. So I'm putting it now. I'm going to mix it. I'm going to turn the heat to medium. And already it smells amazing because it's vegetable, you know, sauteed with some avocado oil and some garlic and onion. You want to, let me tell you something. Here's a relationship tip, dating tip. You want to impress somebody, a man, you want to impress a woman, or a woman, you want to impress a man, or anybody want to impress anybody while dating, just start with sauteing onion and garlic. Automatically, they're going to think you're a chef because there's no mistakes in how good that smells. First step, you put a little oil in the pan and you throw a garlic in there, they're going to run and be like, what you're cooking? You're like, oh, honey, you're about to find out. My daughter, I guess that's the new slang of the youth, because my daughter keeps coming to me every single day like, I'm cooking. I'm like, what does that even mean? She's like, no, we're doing stuff. We're doing cool stuff. We're cooking. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm cooking too, regularly. Unfortunately for me, that means being stuck in the kitchen too for about half of the day. I use two type of knife too. I don't know if you guys caught that. One has teeth, as I say, and one is more smooth. Just for different vegetables, I find it that it does different work and it's easier. I have a Portabella mushroom cups. Love those. They're so meaty. So meaty or meaty. You understand what I'm trying to say. I swear it's an experience cooking with me. Those really, even when they get softer, they taste meaty, so I always leave them to be a huge part of the chili. Uh, Chili al mushroom, not chili con carne, because they really give nice texture when you're chewing it. You feel like there's stuff to chew on. Um, After that, we're gonna move into the cans. Again, I went to the store preparing for the show, rushing between snowstorms and ice, and I got whatever I saw in front of me. Do I sometimes get organic cans? Of course. Do I sometimes get different types? I do all of it. Right now, that's what I had. That's what I did. Don't put too much into cooking or into your eating. Eat healthy, yes, but if you're like me, and this is obviously, I'm not talking to people who are extreme health, you know, vibe right now in their life. We're talking about you wanting, instead of burgers and Burger King or whatever, to try to eat something healthier. So we don't have to go to the extreme. Everything, no sodium, no sugar, no this, no that, right when you're beginning your process. It's okay, so it's not organic. Nobody's gonna die. I mean, there are a million ways for us to die. I doubt if we'll eat a can that is of chickpeas that is not organic, that's what you're gonna die from. So, but you're definitely gonna enjoy it, and you get protein from something that is plant-based, which to me is always better. A lot of time people ask me, I'm going to cover this, by the way, a little bit so the vegetables can get a little bit softer. But a lot of time people ask me, you know, how do you do this? Like how do you get to that point where you do more? And I'm like, it really is all a part of the journey. I'm straining the chickpeas. You just got to be mindful every day of what makes you feel good and what doesn't, and how you want to feel. And that would lead you every single day to doing more or doing less. When I stopped coffee, I didn't think I'm going to not drink caffeine again ever again. I stopped coffee because that day it gave me a stomach ache. And then I said, okay, maybe one more day. And then I said, maybe one more day. And I said, maybe a week. And before I know it, it's 11 years. But again, one day I was driving, it was late, I needed something, I was falling asleep. I'm not going to say, oh no, I'm never having caffeine, so I'm not touching it. I went into that 7-Eleven and got a Red Bull so quick because my life is more important to me than me breaking the fact that I never have caffeine. And I never said I'm never going to drink caffeine. I just chose every day. And that's the key. Like today, I'm going to make a different decision. Today, I'm going to decide to eat, something healthier. Today, I'm not going to drink soda. Just for today, I'm not going to drink soda. It's always just for today. That's, some of you might know, some of you not. I don't know how often you're in my channel, but I'm also a Reiki master, which is energetic healing. And this is really our prayer. It starts with just for today, only for today, because all we have is today. All we have is right now. Mindful eating is one of the biggest things we can do for our health and well-being. Even when you chew, even when when you cook. Last time I was talking to you guys about enjoying the smells, enjoying the sounds, being mindful, being in your senses while you're cooking. It's a beautiful experience, and also when you eat it too. You think about all the people who took part in making this food, harvesting it, packing it, cleaning it, bringing it, put it in all the shelves on the supermarket. You cooking. Every time you chew, think about it. It's a beautiful, way of being grateful for what you're eating. You're gonna get full faster. You're gonna feel better, and you're gonna enjoy your food more. I promise. I had chickpeas, I had small red beans, and now I'm having, I think it's Great Northern. Yeah, Great Northern white beans. Goya. Oh man. But this is, again, for me, also, I get asked a lot, why did I stop eating meat? Right? So I have nothing against it. I still cook it for my children because I'm not going to force anybody for my ways. But at the same time, living a more spiritual lifestyle, I understood and understand the pain that those beautiful animals go through in order for us to eat them. And I personally just decided I'm not willing to take part of that, right? Because if I'm putting someone's pain in my body, that pain will stay in my body. So energetically, I don't want all of that in my system. It to me just didn't make sense. They're being abused, whether we like it or not. You don't have to admit it to yourself while you're enjoying your burger, but you have to know the facts. They're being abused for our pleasure. I couldn't take part of it anymore because to me, the fact I don't want nobody being abused for me to be pleasured, and I don't want that abuse and pain and sorrow in my system. That's energy. It's transferable, but it doesn't go anywhere. So if I'm putting it in my system, I'm going to experience it whether I understand it or not. So that to me was the reason why I stopped meat first. I stopped meat years ago before I became fully vegan. uh, I went on to a year after that, I stopped dairy because then I realized, like, what's the difference? This comes from the same, it's even worse. And you don't have to see the videos. It's brutal. I'm an empath. I could never see the videos, but I understood it and I know it, and it was enough for me. So make your choices. You don't have to not eat meat, but just make choices that will sit well in your body when you enjoy it. And it's funny, of course, I have friends that when we talk, they're like, that steak is sitting really good in my belly. I'm like, good, good. If you enjoy your food, it will bring you health. If you eat it and you regret it or you think about it, even regretting it in a place where I shouldn't eat it because you feel like it's overeating, or you're trying to go on a diet, or you're trying to lose weight, and you're, guilting yourself up about everything you eat, you literally gonna gain weight from that food. I read about it so many times because I was doing some research for work that I had with a client, that her struggle was food. And we could relate on that because, like I said, I had eating disorders, like I had bulimia in the past, and I'm still dealing with my food issues. Like I'm literally thinking about going to a support group for eating disorders because I feel like our relationship is with food is so, you know, huge, that if we don't understand ourselves in it, we won't really be able to change it. I've been talking while I have diced tomatoes. So these, I put them together with the sauce all together. And now I'm going to add the seasoning, and I'm going to add tomato paste, and we're going to start rocking it. Yeah, so it's, eat whatever you want to eat. Just make sure you enjoy it while you eat it, and don't really put so much on yourself afterwards and feel guilty about what you eat, because then it will stay in your body and it's not going to go nowhere. I promise you that. Well, that didn't cut enough. You think it's the universe telling me, don't use this seasoning. Sorry, universe, I'm going to use it because it tastes the best. I'm putting a whole bag. I usually do taco seasoning for the chili. You can do fajita seasoning too. There is also that in the bag. In bags comes like that, but this is my thing. So I'm mixing everything up together, and then I'm going to add some tomato paste. I do add a little bit more seasoning, and you guys are going to see it in a second. I obviously add some salt. Let me see. So I take a nice spoonful of tomato paste. I use tomato paste, not tomato sauce. It's thicker. It makes the sauce better. This is like old school Middle Eastern thing. I know Italians use it a lot too. And now I'm just blending it a little bit with the vegetables on top. And now I'm going to add salt, pepper. I use pink Himalayan salt. That doesn't mean that's what you need to use. You use whatever rocks your boat. Regular black pepper. Finely grounded. It's the best. Do whatever, as long as it's black pepper. This is why cooking with me is fun, because I'm not going to give you rules. I'm going to give you advice on, shared advice from my personal experience and how I make stuff. And like I said, it always comes out tasting good. So you're winning. Regardless, you're winning. I'm putting a little bit of sweet paprika, and I'm adding a little bit of paprika flakes. These are mixed spicy and sweet, so it's going to add a little bit of a kick, as they say, right? So now that all the vegetables are in the pot and we put the tomato paste and I added some seasoning, I'm going to add water. I put the water to cover, basically, and that's about it. Now we're going to let it do its thing. I'm going to turn the heat on high, and I know a lot of times it doesn't, you know, it feels like I'm doing a vegetable soup, but it's not. I promised you, when you eat it the way I eat it and how I serve it, it's going to taste like chili, especially because of the seasoning, obviously, and then the way I serve it. So water to cover. I continue mixing it just because I added that tomato paste. So I want to make sure it's blended. Putting it on high. I'm going to cover it. I'm actually going to add a drop more water because now that I mixed it all up, I think I need a little bit more. How much did I use? A half. That was full. So what I would say about 2.5 cups, 3 cups. I don't know. Doesn't matter because all you got to do is look and make sure it's covering the vegetables, and then you're good. That's the right amount. That's how you learn to cook in a kitchen. I was the brat at home. I was the baby in the family. I never cooked. I never cleaned. I never did anything because I know if my mom's not going to do it, my older sister's going to do it. If my older sister's not going to do it, my middle sister's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it, so I'm not doing it. So that was that was me growing up. But I was always watching. I always watched my mom bake and cook and do all these things. And when I moved on my own, I was 20. I think I was 20, maybe almost 21. Yeah, 20. It was in my year of 20. And I started traveling and I went to Michigan. I was a nanny. My God, that was an experience. I got out of there and I was signed for a year. I left after a month. That should tell you about that experience. uh, that's when I was introduced to racism for the first time, in my life, because I grew up in a home that preached against racism. My mother, taught us to never ever give anybody, any kind of different um, relation or different attitude because the color of their skin is different. You love everybody the same, right? So she made us watch all these movies about slavery so we understand how, cruel it is. And then I came to a very rich white family to do to be a nanny. And they saw me talking to an African American guy in the airport, helped me with my suitcases, and we were just chilling and hanging out until they came to pick me up. And once they did that, I got to their house and I put my suitcases down, and literally that's the first thing they said to me. We just want to let you know, no black people in this house. And I was like, what? Okay. And I was like shocked because, again, I come from a house like that, and all of my friends in Israel was 90% of them were dark skinned. I either had Ethiopian friends, I had, African Americans that came to Israel for whatever, played basketball there, was there with the Navy there. Like, I just always knew people of all ethnicities. So to say something like that to me, and that's the first thing you say to me, like I literally just landed. So I already knew I'm not gonna be able to stay in that house. And after a month, I moved to Florida and I started moving around. And I don't even know how I got in. What I wanted to say to you guys, there was a point to the story, but I went all the way over there with the story. Wait, I'm gonna try to come back to that story. It was in my 20 year, right? When I turned 20, almost 21, when I came to started to travel. Bregga, what was my point? I don't know. I know you don't know. You can't be in my head. I'll get back to that. But I did eat. The most unhealthy eating I ever did was in that first year, when I was living in America, because I was seeing all these commercials, the $5 Pizza Hut and the extra, double cheeseburgers and all those things. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I think I gained like maybe 20 to 30 pounds in the first year I was in the state. And I came home and I didn't even recognize myself. And that's when I started realizing like how poisonous culture can be when it comes to food, and how I really have to eat from here and be smart about what I'm eating rather than not. And then, but that was the beginning, because after that came the bulimia, because I couldn't stand seeing myself that way, and the self-worth and self-love issues started. And it was really a journey. I'll probably talk about it more in many other shows. And just know that there is a way to start a journey that is healthier and that can benefit us much more. And you don't have to struggle, and you don't have to go from one extreme to another. Take it one day at a time, one little subject at a time, one little meal at a time, until you figure out how can you do it better. You'll feel it. You'll feel it in your body, I promise you. If I don't drink water, I get migraines 5 minutes automatically, like I swear. If I miss a sip, I get a headache. So even water intake was something that I had to teach myself. So when you guys start doing all these things that are healthy for you, and you're more than welcome to check out the Mind Diet episode. And in general, the whole show is about wellness and about spirituality and about our connection to our inner and outer beauty. So check out the episode and see how you can promote a complete well-being in your life. And while this is on high still, I leave it on high for about 15 to 20 minutes, so everything can get a little softer. All the flavors are mixed together. Then we're going to turn it to medium for another 20 minutes, and then we're going to turn it to low. And then when you guys come back, it's already going to be ready and yummy. And I'm going to show you how I um, offer it and serve it. And Bregga is definitely going to enjoy it. All right. Enjoy this. I love you, my beautiful people. Thank you for being in my kitchen. Later. All right. You guys are ready? Are you hungry by now? We're going to set up that chili that we made in the bowl, and I'm going to show you how I serve it. Before I start, though, I got to say something. Of course, I got to say something. I'm always talking. Remember in the first video, in the first part of this video, while I was cooking, I was talking about me being 20, and then I went into the whole America experience. And I couldn't remember why I started this story. Now I remembered why I started this story. I was always watching my mom cooking, but I never did anything at home. Remember, I was telling you guys my sisters did everything for me. So when I grew up and I moved on my own finally, and after that whole experience with the racist family, and I moved to Florida and I lived by myself. So one day I called my mom because I wanted to cook, and I made spaghetti for myself, and I made a few things, and I asked her about a specific seasoning because I was cooking something, and she was like, well, what seasoning do you need? Who needs it? I was like, me. She's like, but what do you mean? You were cooking? I'm like, yeah. She's like, what do you mean you're cooking? You don't know how to cook? I said, of course I know how to cook. She's like, how? You never cooked at home? I said, I didn't need to, but I was watching you. So she was like, damn, you tricked us like that. I was like, of course. Why would I do it if anybody else? So like I said, I was a brat, but I learned. I learned from the queen, and I learned from my sisters. And, so learning how to cook can be something of an experience that is beautiful. I see my kids, I bring them in the kitchen with me. They help me out sometimes. So just enjoy everything that has to do with food. Like I said, our relationship with food is scary sometimes, is weird sometimes. We don't understand it. But if we're okay with it and we try to learn from it, like I learned that I always eat beyond being hungry, because as a kid, I was not allowed to leave the table unless my plate was clean. Like, you got to finish what's on your plate. Dude, but I'm not hungry anymore. Like, nope, you're not getting off the table until your plate is clean. So, and that's just them trying to make sure we ate. Of course, mine scarcity back in the day, there was hardly any. So they're making sure that when we have it, learn to appreciate what you have on your plate and eat it. I'm like, but yeah, but like now you're making my mind body connection have a disconnection. Now I'm full and I want to stop, and my mind is telling me to stop, yet I keep eating. So I went beyond the line of being full. And now I taught myself a new line of being full, which is not really true because I've been full about 5 bites ago, So that's like important to also understand like where your relationship with food is coming from. How was it built, and established? So kind of dig in when you cook and you eat, and just think about all these things and understand why you want to change, if you want to change, why you want to eat more healthy, all of it. It's a journey, my beautiful people. It's a journey. All right, I'm done talking. Let's eat. So the chili is ready. I am pouring. So now, if you like cheese, like shredded cheese, you can put cheese on the bottom of the bowl before you put the chili. And then it's going to melt from the heat of the chili. And in every bite, you'll have some melted cheese down there to work with. If you don't like cheese, I in general, when I used to do it, but I don't like vegan cheeses, like shredded cheeses. I don't know why. They never tasted good to me. So I stopped eating them. What I do like is vegan sour cream, and so I do that. There are different brands. I personally love this brand. Um, where are you? How are we opening this? We should have done it off camera, right? Let me see. I got it. I got the nachos ready. You can do any kind. There's actually one kind that I really like. It's purple and it has flax seeds in it. And it's really good, but I couldn't find it. So I got my second favorite, which is hint of lime. I take a dollop of, right? That's how you say it, Bregga? A dollop. I heard that from Daisy Dollop. Yo, I'm telling you, when I moved to America, all I watched is food commercials all the time. So here we're doing a not Daisy Dollop sour cream. And then I love spicy food, so I add some jalapenos to it. And then you can do it, you don't have to. I do a little bit more of the paprika flakes just because I like that spiciness. And now it looks good and it tastes good. It's boiling hot, so I'm going to wait a minute before I take a bite because I don't want to burn myself on camera and look full. Although I do look like a fool all the time in here because I talk nonsense to you guys. Nah, there's always value in what I talk, even though I talk a lot and I go back and forth and my mind is like racing while I'm cooking. But I'm pretty sure I'm giving you value, and I hope that you're enjoying these nutrition in my kitchen segments on the show or just on the channel. And I really, really hope that you're going to try it for yourself, because every time you're going to try something new, we were just talking about it, you surprise yourself, you rewire your brain, you prolong your memory. There's researches about it that when you surprise yourself and do something new, your chances of getting Alzheimer or dementia are getting smaller and smaller. So even when it comes to food, when you eat something new, when you cook something new, that's complete well-being right there, mind, body, and soul. So you take a bite with your nacho and your sour cream and you enjoy it. I hope you will. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate you always. Many blessings. Bon appetit.